I felt an itch at the nape of my neck sometime in the night. Half asleep, I scratched at the area to no avail. As I laid in my bed, staring into the dark, with a tinge of annoyance cooking in my head, I tried to feel if something had bitten me or whatnot. Having had plenty of experience with bug bites, I could quickly tell that this wasn't it. Instead, my fingers were greeted by a small bump that I had never noticed before. It stood to the right side of my neck, about 5 centimeters under my skull. I kept pushing lightly into the swelling and moving my fingers over the area, only for a soft throbbing pain to emerge. It didn't take long for it to reach an intensity that could perhaps best be compared to that of an unrelenting toothache. It was as if there was something burrowing in my muscle, like I was being stabbed with a dull needle, a puncture wound in the making. It didn't take long for it to wake me up from my daze. I shot out of bed and rushed to the bathroom to see what I was dealing with. After a few moments of awkward head spinning and ugly neck twisting, thanks to a small hand mirror, I finally managed to take a good look at the source of my steadily growing discomfort. The swelling was clearly visible, due to my fidgeting all over its surface. I poked it once or twice with a Q-tip to try and test what its internal consistency might be like, and then I swear to God I saw it move. After a short freak-out period, during which I may or may not have dropped the mirror, broken the toilet seat, and pulled down a shower curtain, I tried to calm my nerves by smoking a cigarette. My initial curiosity of the bump's origin was now replaced by sheer bewilderment and a modicum of horror. A part of me wanted to go to the ambulance or call 999, but believe me when I say that I was pissed off and wasn't thinking right. I had read more than I ever needed to know about the wide variety of parasites that can and will happily live inside a human body if given the chance, and I couldn't bear the thought of something residing under my skin. I convinced myself that it was a bug, a burrower of some sort, and that I could pull the damn thing out on my own. As a hunter, I've had plenty of experiences with cuts, open wounds, and the like, and I was certain of my ability to enter the neck cleanly and then stitch it back up with minimal fuss. I've always been a handyman anyway. I remember thinking, how bad could it possibly get? As you're about to find out, I was very optimistic about the whole endeavor. It didn't take long for me to find all the necessary tools and items I'd need to make as safe a cut as any. A razor-sharp utility knife, some rubbing alcohol, an ample supply of clean cloth, and a sewing needle with a lengthy string of light brown color. I also grabbed a pair of medical tweezers that I had tucked away a while ago, just in case I have to go digging. I poured some alcohol into a bowl and took a large whiff, just to remind myself of what it smelled like, just as bad as I remember. I thought to myself as I unfolded the knife and dipped the blade into the fluid. With my left arm, I pinpointed the bump once more for a more precise cut. Deep breaths, I remember thinking. Deep breaths. So as to not give myself a chance to back down, I pushed the blade deep into my skin immediately. It went in just beneath the bump, as I hoped it would. Gritting my teeth and with teary eyes, I slit the edge about 2 centimeters to the right and felt warm flesh give way to cold steel, then pulled it out. Hot, sticky crimson slid down my right shoulder and back. Nothing was coming out of the lump though. The relief of having the deed done gave way to slight panic as I realized that I would have to use the tweezers after all. Dipping the tweezers into the bowl, I felt like downing the whole thing. As a former alcoholic, the idea amused me for a bit, enough for me to calm down and get back to work. I wiped off the blood coming out of my neck and slid the tweezers slowly into my neck. The feeling of a foreign object going through your flesh is really something. You don't know true disgust until you've tried that out. which I hope you never do. Describing the agony I felt would be pointless, I think, as I wasn't going to stop for anything until the bug was out of my neck. As the tweezers dug into my flesh, I felt a tear appear on the rightmost end of the cut I first made. The pain was immense, but I was far too afraid to stop at that point. Even though it took me but a few moments to capture the intruder with the pliers, it felt like a decade. Finally, I felt a sickening crunch as I yanked the tool and the foreign object out of my neck. Immediately, a massive relief overcame my senses. The dull throb of pain left my body and was then replaced by the relative discomfort I felt from cutting my neck open. However strange that comparison that may be, I honestly believed the whole thing would be more painful, but I suppose the adrenaline did its thing. A more consistent outpour of blood came out in spite of me pressing a rag over my wound. But the thought that I saved myself from a vicious parasite was worth every ache I had inflicted upon myself. Believing I was safe and sound, I brought the tweezers in front of me to see what I had been dealing with. The thing was now crushed in any case. But what worried me wasn't the sheer number of legs or other yet stranger extremities the thing exhibited, nor its literally indescribable color, but the fact that from what seemed to be its thorax, out came a long, sticky thread, the other end of which was still underneath my skin. I shuddered in terror as I dropped the tweezers into the bowl, letting the thing bleed its vicious juices into something I could easily clean. I was more preoccupied with the strands though. It had an odd, rubbery consistency to it, and as I tugged, I felt a sudden sprinkling of dull ache resonate from the bottom of my spine. I hope you won't judge me for saying that I cried for a good few minutes before starting to pull the forsaken thing out hard. It's now been almost 2 hours since I began the procedure. I've managed to pull out almost 70 centimeters worth of horrid strand out of my back. It seems to have been connected to each of my vertebrae by strange repulsive pustules that popped as I pulled them out of their position. The smell is... 32 of them have come out so far, and as I tug lightly at the abhorrent rope, I feel a pull at the very back of my neck, where the spine connects to the skull. It's the last note, I think, and I'm preparing to get the fucking thing out as I write this. It hurts far more than any of the previous notes did, and my vision darkens as I jerk at it. I feel weak, but I have to finish this. What's the worst thing that could happen? Right?